Right, let's cross over into Spanish football now, specifically Real Madrid and Trent, who's been under pressure from the Spanish press. Here we go. But he responded yesterday with a couple of assists. Let's get more on this with European football expert Kevin Hatchard. Kev, a very good morning, Kev.
Good morning, Kev.
Morning, guys. Bit of Gypsy Kings to start the morning.
Brilliant,
Very
absolutely.
Good. Very good.
The dream.
I do. I guess you're going in the morning. Brilliant. What's going on here? The Spanish press slagging off Trent. Is he not performing? Is he not getting enough game time? What's the story?
Yeah, a bit of a mixed picture. I mean, what's really sparked this is Alfredo Rolano, who's quite a kind of noted columnist, described him as a rabbit in the headlights and said he was a very inconsequential player. I think that was very harsh. I think if you look at Trent's time there, it's been plagued by injury because he had a hamstring problem that kept him out for a number of weeks. He's been battling with Dani Carvajal for the right-back spot, and Carvajal's had his own injury issues as well. And the irony is that against Athletic Club last night, he probably produced one of his best displays. There was an unbelievable switch for Kylian Mbappé for the opening goal, which gave Mbappé space to run at them. And then it was a brilliant solo run from him, but it was a great switch that opened it up. That was the opening goal. And then he was involved in the second goal as well because it was a cross to the far post, headed back across goal, and Camavinga was able to score. Unfortunately, and this is typical of what's happened to him since he got to Madrid, he then picks up an ankle injury, and they think he could be out for a few weeks. So, look, the team has been struggling in general. I know that seems weird because they're very much in the La Liga title race. But the team has kind of relied on Mbappe's goals. It's not functioned in the way that Xabi Alonso wants. And there's a lot of political talk in the background about whether certain players are willing to accept Xabi Alonso's edicts, whether they just want to have a bit more freedom individually to interpret the tactics how they want in the way that they did for years under Ancelotti. Xabi Alonso's trying to be very, very different. So Trent's kind of been caught up in all of that. Also, there's an element of just adjusting to life in a different country, a different league. He's been at Liverpool his whole career. So there's always going to be an element of adaptation. Obviously, he went early because he went to the Club World Cup. And I thought the Club World Cup, he had some decent displays. But again, injury's been an issue for him. So it's a bit of a false start.
What about Kev? I actually seen the goals, and you talk about the first one for Mbappe. That's what Trent's been brought in for, hasn't he? That sort of switcher play, those balls over the top for the pace of Vinny and Mbappe. But talk to him about Mbappe. I mean, 36 goals and assists in 24 games for club and country. 30 goals, 6 assists. He's Ballon d'Or form, isn't it, at the moment from Mbappe? Some of his goals I'm seeing, Kev, like, whoa.
There's an argument to say he's the world's best player right now.
Yes.
Absolutely, because he's delivering time and time again. It's not just the volume of goals, it's the fact he's coming up with big goals. He's scoring all different types of goals. I think he's really embraced being the leader, but that's had a knock-on effect as well because his rise has coincided with a bit of a fall for Vinícius Jr. And now there's all kinds of talk of, is he going to sign a new contract? And if he isn't, what's going to happen? You know, Xabi Alonso's relationship with him has been quite obviously strained.
Well, where would he go, Kev? Vinny? Would it be Paris, or where could he go to get more money?
The story that won't go away is Saudi, because they've been talked about in terms of $1 billion in terms of the overall package. Obviously, if Real Madrid are going to sell him, they want the best possible amount of money for him. And that's where you would get the best possible amount of money, because European clubs aren't going to be able to match what a leading Saudi club would put on the table.
$1 billion. I'd be taking him to the airport for $1 billion. Listen, he's a great player. He's a great player, but $1 billion is $1 billion.
He's not been performing like a great player, and Kev, I think Kev will agree. You know, he's the game where he got took off, Kev, and he went down the tunnel and come back out. I don't like that, and I'm sure Xabi Alonso would love to maybe get rid of Vinícius Jr. and use that money to bring in a top centre forward to play off Mbappe.
This is the thing, because if you did that, then obviously you'd shift Mbappe a little bit out left, and that
gonna
would
like
suit
that?
him. Yeah, I think he would. I think naturally, that is sometimes not always. I think it's overplayed a little bit, but sometimes that's the issue with him and Vinicius Jr. That they like to operate in the same area, and they'll both naturally drift out towards that left-hand side. So. Yeah, I think that's something they will look at. I mean, for a long, long time, that was non-negotiable that he was going to stay. Kev, signed that new deal.
Sorry, Kev. Can I just move on quickly, because I know we haven't got much time, about Marcus Rashford. I've looked recently and watched a few of the clips from the Barcelona games, and he's not getting the game time as much now, is he? Because Rafinha is back fit and playing well.
Yeah, and this was always going to be the issue, that he's benefited from Rafinha being out. And to be fair to Rashford, he's really seized that opportunity. There have been games where he's shown up and played really, really well. You think of the performance to get away at Newcastle in the Champions League, but there have been lots of performances where he's been, making goals, scoring goals. And I thought even in midweek, there was some nice touches, but Rafinha was great against Atletico Madrid. That was a big win on Tuesday, 3-1. I still think they've got an issue, by the way, Barcelona, with that high line. And I know that they got a domestic treble last season, but they give up the same goal over and over again. And I think that's going to be a really big issue.
If you was an Arsenal or someone, you'd love to play them in a knockout game, wouldn't you? Kev, like Martinelli, Saka, Madueke, get you quick players on the pitch like Chelsea
against Barca.
Yeah, and I just don't rate Barca defensively at all, and that's not going to be enough, is it?
But it was Champions League. But it wasn't a knockout. It was. Look, I'm not making excuses for them.
Yeah,
but it was the group games, and
of course
they're going to be more tighter.
Oh, with the Chelsea game, I just think what teams do is what Chelsea did, which packed the front four with pace.
Yes.
And that's what they're going to do. And the big difference, I think, in that game between when they went to Newcastle or when they went to Chelsea, didn't have Pedri. And if you don't have Pedri, you can't control a game and you can't keep the ball. And that's a big, big issue. And poor old Frankie de Jong was left marooned on an island in midfield and just had too many runners around him to try and deal with it. And so he's got a lot of tweaks to make, I think, Hansi Flick. There was that footage recently, even after a game that they won, of Rafinha trying to talk to him on the bench, and he looked absolutely crestfallen because he knows they're not playing as well as they did last season. But Rashford, to return to your original question, I think has played a good role in terms of being a good member of the squad, has done well when called upon. I still think he's got a big role to play, even though Rafinha is back.
Next one, Kev.